The benefits of teaching international English are that we get to look at the language from different points of view sometimes. Because I'm British, so I tend to think about or use British expressions or British phrases. Yet there are different types of English in the world that are used. So sometimes teaching international English, I have to think about how would an American say that, or how would an Australian say that. But talking about international English is very interesting because when we think about speaking English, we think about speaking to Americans or speaking to British people or Australians or South Africans. But most of the people who our students will speak to are going to be non-native speakers speaking English. So if they travel to Europe, for example, they go to France or Italy, they're going to speak to French and Italians in English. And through work, they're going to speak to Chinese, Japanese, other South Americans in English. So it's quite an interesting aspect of the language.
Personally, I like to meet students where they are, but I usually recommend poetry. I love working with poetry, and that's why a good reason for that is because poetry, you know when you sound good. You go about a poem, and if it sounds awful, you learn in the moment. It's different from reading a text where you can sound very unnatural and it's oblivious to you. But there are also other kinds of techniques too, like theater techniques that you can let your muscles in the mouth go loose, and sometimes with teenagers, where apps that have them lip-syncing something or repeating stuff, that they do it for fun, it's good too. And vocabulary, I would say keeping a vocabulary notebook. This is very useful in highlighting, becoming aware of our adult levels. They have this a lot. Students have to become aware of the kind of words that are being used and how they are being used. This is very important to learn.
Well, this mix has been achieved through working with foreign teachers, and as well as through using materials and resources that give our students the opportunity to listen to and work with different varieties of English. For example, one of our teachers is Australian, and what he does in the classroom is, well, he uses books from a British publisher that on purpose includes in its audiovisual materials speakers from different countries and cultural circles. And of course they use different Englishes. You will not be surprised to hear an English businessman talking to his Indian and German counterparts about the next business deal. And this is just part of what we do in the classroom to prepare our students as much as possible for the challenges in this globalized world. What we want is we want them to achieve their objectives regardless of what they are, being living or studying in an English-speaking country, doing business in an international setting, or simply traveling.